This is Nissan's toughest Navara yet, the Pro-4X Warrior by Premcar. Now, it's built locally in Victoria with a whole host of upgrades, which we'll get into soon. What we're doing today, we're going to take it on the bitumen, we're going to unhitch the trailer and take it to a full drive park and put it through its paces to find out if it is as good as its main rivals. So we'll see if the lift, wider track, local tuning translate into a better towing stability and off-road ute. So it all starts underneath. Premcar have fitted new progressive rate coil springs. Now what that means is the very top of the rear spring is a bit softer than factory, and the bottom part of the spring in the rear stiffer than factory. And up front, the spring overall is softer than the original Navaras. And the springs are paired with 35mm shock absorbers, so about 5mm up on factory or standard Navara. There's a heap of body armor underneath as well. And there's about 260mm of clearance, so it's up around 40-50mm on standard. Now really importantly, a lot of vehicles in this class don't come with as good a tyres as these Coopers. Now these are known for their durability. People are often getting 40 plus, even 80,000 Ks out of a set. And they're also known to be really good from a puncture resistant point of view, which is great in sharp rocks like this. Right. Contentious one, but I reckon the Navara is the best looking vehicle in its categories. Part of that is that front bumper. I think it looks fantastic, but critically it also has a much better approach angle, and the rear departure angle has been increased as well, so better for clearance off-road. So under the bonnet of the Navara D23 is a 2.3 litre twin turbo diesel, putting out 140 kilowatts and 450 newton meters. Now that runs through a 7-speed automatic gearbox into a 2-speed transfer case for 4-wheel drive. Now this engine's been around for a while. This is obviously a 2025, it's done 2000 K, so I can't comment on this one's reliability. But the internet seems to say that when they first launched, a few small teething issues around DPFs, but by and large a pretty reliable engine. Would I like a bit more power? Absolutely, especially when towing. But we'll find out later today when we're at the full drive park if it's enough in low range to get out of a sticky situation. So, critical weights when towing. Premcar have added 100 kilos to the GVM of the Navara Warrior Pro-4X, and the GCM is 5,910 kilos, which means with a 3.5 ton van and a 2,300 curb weight or thereabouts, you're left with just over 100 kilos for passengers and gear. Not a lot, so realistically towing at 3.5 ton, you're not going to do it. So towing and weight considerations, the Warrior, it's really about a 2.5 ton, 2.8 ton towing proposition. Welcome to my tow talk. The most important shit you can carry with caravans and camper trailers is cable ties. So towing on the blacktop. Now we've got about 150 kilo tow ball weight from the domino on the back of the ute, and that dropped the back of the ute only maybe 25-30 mil, so barely pushed into the spring, which is great because the nose is still nice and flat. This Navara does have a tow mode. What it does is quite similar to the sport mode it's also got. It just seems to hold a gear a little bit longer, which is good if you took a bit of deceleration or if you just cruise. In terms of fuel consumption, they're sitting on 13.3 litres per 100. They're always going to be more thirsty than their sort of more road-focused counterparts because they have heavier all-terrain tyres and a lift. So I haven't actually told you where we are today, but we are driving up the Bridle Track West up to Six Poles, which is a track that links a really nice view of the Gulf of Spencer over to inland into Melrose, which is where our destination is for tonight. So I'm actually really enjoying towing off-road in the Navara. The coil springs are definitely more compliant than a set of leaf springs, and it does have enough power. That's only thanks to gearing. If I was towing a much heavier van, I would probably want for a bit more power. And right now, I'm just in 4 high first. Now the first gear in the 7-speed gearbox, I think it's fine for light duty off-road towing like we're doing here. When it gets a bit gnarly, I probably will stop and put it into low, but at the moment it feels great. Right, so I've just put the Navara into low range. So we've got a bit of a steeper climb on this track coming up. But we've got good grip from the Coopers. They are certainly doing a good job. Now the rocks here are pretty sharp, but we are doing pretty good. So we'll drop the camper off and offline, and we've hit the bitumen without a load on the back, and fuel consumption's dropped as we expected. I'm seeing around 9.3 litres per 100. I have to be honest and say that when you're just driving the Navara around, just doing your day-to-day stuff, is where it starts to feel its age. The interior is a bit 2017 when this platform launched, and the seats are not as supportive as other seats in its class. So on the open road, it does feel like it wants a little bit more power. These things are about affordability, practicality, capability, and fun. So we're going to take it off-road and test that last bit, see how much fun we can have. So we've unhitched the camper, we've left it in Adelaide, and we've made it out to the Adelaide Hills 4-Drive Park. Purpose of this, put the Navara through its off-road paces. Now we're going to do some harder tracks today. We're going to try and get a wheel up in the air, just check how the diff lock works, and find out if this actually competes well in its category of those factory-built off-road utes. Let's get into it. Now we're starting off in what they call the training centre, which are actually more difficult than a lot of people realise. I have driven them before. They can be a bit challenging. We are going to throw a wheel in the air. Oh, yep, there we are already. And we are going to test that 260mm clearance. Yep, probably right there. Yep. All right, baptism of fire, straight into one of the harder tracks in the testing area or the training area. I think the Navara did better than I expected it. In all honesty, there is more articulation, more flex than I anticipated. It is coil sprung, as I keep mentioning, and that's probably the bulk of the reason why. The front end I got a bit of lift, but the rear felt like it was pushing a tyre down into the dirt really well. I don't think you would have done that first climb in a vehicle on highway terrain tyres. We're going to go back down the same track we just came up. Jack, the cameraman, just commented that it actually looked pretty tame. We've got a rear tyre in the air right there, so I wouldn't say it's that tame.
Wait, wind the window down.
Yeah, I don't want you standing downhill when I'm pegging it that much. How high up is it?
Oh.
Yep. Oh, good. It feels like there's more flex than all of its leaf spring counterparts. It's got way more traction than I expected, and I think the combo of these Coopers and the amount of flex from those coils is making this thing far more capable than I realised, and I reckon a lot of you probably realised as well. It's actually doing really well. And we didn't bottom. Came here expecting to bottom. No, not even close. Now this place has a lot of black marked tracks, but a lot of them are really short climbs. This one is a long one. I've been really impressed with this ute so far in terms of its off-road ability, just out of the box. I've driven plenty of modified vehicles with different tyres, which everyone knows make the biggest difference, but also different suspension setups. For something out of the box, off the factory floor, with this thing's capability, it's super impressive. So we're losing traction at times, but we're finding it again. Crabbing here quite a bit. We just found the bottom there. I do think that a vehicle with a modern traction control system would make this a little easier. They wouldn't be wheel slipping as much as I am. Just everything from the calibration to gearbox, it lets the revs almost stall the engine just so that you're not jumping between gears mid-climb. It has such good control. Now what I'm doing here is I'm going back down the exact same track I came up on, because I did touch the bottom a couple of times. And I want to see if I can get right there. So we've got 260mm of clearance, but I just found its limit. Right, so we're at the end of 2 days, actually 3 days if you include the drive from Melbourne, with the Warrior Pro-4X. Yes, I wanted for more power when towing and on the open road. Again, I would have liked a bit more power, but I'll be damned if this thing's not a hell of a lot of fun off-road. And remember, that is what it's built for. The guys at Premcar, they have worked magic on the suspension, and putting proper all-terrain tyres on it, these Coopers, have made this thing into an out-of-the-box weapon. What do I think needs to be changed on it if you were to buy one? I think it really starts with just the basics. Recovery gear, communication. You might want to put a canopy on one. It doesn't quite have the sophisticated traction control system of the Blade, which I think will go a bit further than this, but it certainly feels the most planted and certainly feels the best off-road. It just needs a bit more power and a slightly more comfortable interior. And then walk off. You should keep that and then walk off. Just for a laugh, and then walk off.